And welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. We're talking about the Washington Commanders' loss to the Philadelphia Eagles. We are officially on a losing streak. And so, just going back and looking at the four questions or four things that we learned about this game. And I was looking at NFL.com and wanted to bring that out here to the show today because I think that they bring up some great points. And let's start with point number one, and that Saquon Barkley wore down the Commanders after a sluggish start. And so, yes, I believe that that is the case. And this is why I talk about why it is important for the Commanders to run the football, because I think that when we're winning football games, we're establishing the tempo of that game. We're dictating how that game's going to be played, and it's more physical that way because when you have Brian Robinson Jr. out there who wants to play physical, then you also have the offensive linemen that prefer to go out there and just go out and smash the defender. That is going to wear down any defense. And I think that when you're doing that, along with the play action fakes, along with the screen passes and things like that, because we've shown that we're definitely going to do that, then you factor in that we have that high up tempo offense where we'll go it's like a no huddle and we're kind of just tempo. That eventually wears down a defense. And I think that we saw that with the Philadelphia Eagles. They got off to a slow start, but at the end of the day, Saquon Barkley just kept really banging on our defense. And I just can remember in the first half, even though he wasn't scoring touchdowns and the Eagles were struggling, he was still ripping off some good runs, and he finished with 5.6 a carry. I mean, he was just ripping run after run after run when it got late in this game. And so Saquon Barkley, look, he's been on a mission. The New York Giants, I'm sure, just wondering what were we thinking. They let him get out of the door. Right now, I believe with this performance from Saquon Barkley, I talked about it last night on the postgame, that he is now leading the league in rushing ahead of Derrick Henry. Both of those guys have been just on a mission since they have now moved on from their former teams. And so Saquon Barkley, yes, I have to give him credit. He absolutely wore down the Washington Commanders defense, which really, they played well. I think that the Commanders defense played well. And just like, I guess, against that Chicago Bears game or offense, I should say, excuse me, they wore them down, eventually. Like, it's like you can only hold so much. So I don't necessarily blame the defense for this. This was tough, I think, for the Washington Commanders here. And so next up, Daniel struggled with his wide receivers. And so, yes, I would say that this leads to the point that the Philadelphia Eagles, they played exceptional in the secondary. I mean, that was just exceptional. With them taking away Terry McLaurin, if you would have told me that he was only going to get one catch in this game, I just would not believe it. And just the fact that they took him away. And then also, too, Noah Brown, one catch for 4 yards. De'Ami Brown, one catch for 4 yards. I mean, they did a terrific job in taking away anything that the Commanders wanted to do down the field. And they allowed Daniels to go down to the checkdowns, which was to Austin Eckler and then Zach Ertz. But they did a great job as far as making it difficult once they did make the catches and things like that. I know Austin Eckler had probably the better day here, but still, that was great tackling. And that's textbook. That's what I talked about with the Washington Commanders, keeping everything in front of you and making sure that you're not giving up the home run plays, even though the Commanders, on the flip side, they actually did a pretty good job against their wide receiver unit. Because when you look at this statistically, I had talked about A.J. Brown having 80 yards, at least in the last, 5 out of his 6 games. He was held to 65 yards. Between him and Devontae Smith, neither one of them got to the end zone. And if you had Devontae Smith in fantasy, he certainly didn't get you anything. And so, look, 4 receptions, 29 yards. They did a great job there. Saquon Barkley, yes, he was third on the team with the 52 yards. I mean, he had a huge game, one of his catches. But aside from that, if you take that away, look, they were doing a terrific job as far as holding this passing game for the Philadelphia Eagles as well. And so that was good. And so I think that the Washington Commanders and the Eagles played very good defense in the secondary. It's just that the Eagles secondary is going to show up, I think, a little bit more because obviously they win the game. Next up, the third point to talk about here is that Hurts settled down after a rough first quarter. And so, yes, I totally agree with that. Like I talked about how Jalen Hurts has traditionally started off slow. And when he does start off slow, you have got to score points. And that is something that the Washington Commanders did not do. We didn't take advantage of the fact that we were getting sacks because we got the sacks. We made him uncomfortable. We were getting off the field, but we weren't getting points out of that drive. And I think we were even getting some good field position as well. So I think defensively, we were doing a great job as far as flipping the field, but we just didn't take advantage of that slow start. And that's something that you have to do with the Eagles because when they are in desperation mode, when they're chasing after points, I think that is when you get Jalen Hurts throwing those interceptions, when you get this offense scrambling and things like that and getting them out of their pace. It's tough for them to play catch-up football. And so I think that was tough. And that's something that I just think that the Washington Commanders as a whole have got to take advantage of. I mean, offensively, you can't put it all on them because you have to sustain drives. You have to get points and things like that. But it just combined, you got to take advantage of those opportunities. And that's something that the Washington Commanders were not able to do. Next up, just lastly, the defense faltered for the Commanders late in the game. And so, I talked about this, the 23 seconds, the back-to-back with Barkley getting the touchdowns and things like that. But did they really falter? I mean, I just think that it was tough for our defense out there because when you look at the time of possession for the Eagles, 33 minutes to our 26 minutes, I mean, the Eagles essentially dominated the time of possession for the most part. So you're wearing down our defense, and I'm not sure how many defenses out there are going to be able to hold like that. And yes, I know that they scored 26 points, but remember, that was late in the game where they get this. And so it was until the fourth quarter where the Eagles got the 20 points because the Eagles had scored no points in the first, only 3 in the second, 3 in the third. It was in the fourth quarter and late in that fourth quarter when they started to really wear down here. And so I think that is the key to this. And so you just can't have this defense out there. I know that the defense is getting better, and they did great, I think, with the sacks and things like that. And not having Marshawn Lattimore out there was huge. I loved what Mikey Sanders still did, Quan Martin. Like, I liked the plays that these guys were making. We just have got to take advantage of stopping other teams and get off the field. That's something that we couldn't do. And just another note as well, like this is the second game in a row where we lose out on a fourth down opportunity. We had not missed on those. And then today we actually don't convert one of those. And so we were one of two of those. And then with the Eagles and their defense, just to let you know how good that they were, look, we were 3 of 12 in third down efficiency, and we were coming into this thing, I think, the 5th best as far as converting on third down. And so we don't take care of business there and staying on the field, sustaining drives, and that's what I'm talking about. When you're getting field position, you're getting stops, you need to get points. We didn't do that. The Eagles, on the flip side of this, they were 9 of 16 on third down. So that is a much better efficiency. They didn't even have to go into the fourth down efficiency for them. They had 70 plays to our 63 plays. And look at this with the yards, 434 to our 264. I mean, the Eagles, when they got plays, they absolutely gashed us. And that really, I think, is the key to these games. And I think, or this game, and this is why, the Eagles win this game. And so have to give them credit. Hopefully the Commanders can come back from this one. This was a tough loss for the Commanders, but I think it's a good learning experience for the Commanders as well, because we know that you need to learn how to lose before you learn how to win. And with this team, it's obviously turning over. We have a lot of free agents coming up this year. We're also going to be in situations where, we're still really learning from what's going on with Dan Quinn, this new coaching staff, this new front office. And so these are games that you're just going to learn from. You're going to ultimately get better. And we're going to still have to play the Eagles again because they are going to have to come to Washington. And so we have a couple games before that. But make no mistake about it, the Commanders have got to pick themselves up. And even though the Cowboys have been struggling, it is going to be a tough game. It is a divisional game. So hopefully you can get back on track with the Cowboys. You got the Titans, you got the Saints, who look like they still are scrapping now that they've got a new coach. And then you've got the Eagles. And so hopefully the Washington Commanders can lock in on this next game. It's going to be an early game. We do get some more rest on this. So let me know in the comments what your key takeaways were from this loss against the Philadelphia Eagles. Talking Washington Commanders football, and even in a loss, I'm still saying go Commanders, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.